Hi guys, I hope you're having a great day today. Today I thought I would get on and do a video about something that is near and dear to my heart. Today I want to do 10 frugal ways of living that will save you tons of money. It's near and dear to my heart because I have done some of these things my entire adult life. You know, I've always had to kind of pinch pennies. I'm not complaining. Believe me, I'm not. I'm simply, trying to let people know that, if you're one of those people that has to pinch pennies and has your whole life, hey, we're all out there. In my 20s, when I was freshly married and having children, of course, we had to pinch our pennies. Who doesn't? When they're first married and young, you have to pinch your pennies. So we had to, be frugal, live frugally. And then after I got a divorce, I was a single woman with one income, trying to make a household with just one income. And then, so then I had to be frugal. So, I've really kind of had to be frugal my entire life. And, I'm all about, especially since I'm doing A Course in Miracles work, I'm all about not having that scarcity mentality. But for me, being frugal is more about like recycling and reusing our things that we have. Put less trash into the world. Our beautiful Mother Earth, we're just about decimating her with the trash that we produce. And that's really near and dear to my heart. So, and also too, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Half of having money is making money, but the other half is not spending it. So if you can save your money every little way that you can save it, hey, why not? We all need to do that from time to time. Sometimes we have to do it all of our lives. But anyway, I actually enjoy some of this stuff. I mean, my parents had 10 children. I'm sorry, my parents had 8 kids. I am the youngest of 8. I have 7 brothers and sisters. So my parents had to live frugally, and we did. We lived very frugally. So anyway, here are my 10 ways of living frugally. The first one, and this one, like I said, is very near and dear to my heart. Bone broth. You can find out all kinds of statistics and, about bone broth online. And there's all kinds of medical studies that show how good it is for you. Louise Hay was a big one. She used to have a bone broth recipe in one of her books I had gotten one time. She was very particular about what she ate, but bone broth was one of the things that she ate. And I like to use it to make homemade soup. Because when you don't feel good, they always say chicken soup when you don't feel good. Well, I'm telling you, that broth that you make from scratch here at home, that is so good when you don't feel good. And I think what the thing that's in it, it makes it like bone broth. What makes it the consistency that it is after you make it, it's kind of like once you make bone broth and you put it in the refrigerator or freezer, it kind of gets gelatinous. It's almost like jello, like a jello shot, something like that. And I think the reason why it's the inside the bone, the marrow. I believe it's the marrow that makes it that consistency. But anyway, whatever the case may be, it's really good for you when you don't feel well, and it does too. I keep this in my freezer. I have it in there almost all the time. And then if I don't feel well, I grab some of that out of the freezer, thaw some of it out, and drink it. Like drink a cup of it. Oh, it just warms you right in your chest, and it does, and you can breathe it in. It's everything about it is just fabulous. Now I make soup. That's what I use mine for. But I do use it for cooking. Every now and then I'll do stir fries that require broth, so I use that. I've been saying for the last few times I've made it, and I keep forgetting, but this next time I make it, I'm going to put some in ice cube trays, because sometimes you only need a little tiny amount, and you could take a couple ice cubes out. It's really good in mashed potatoes. Rather than, if you want to do dairy-free mashed potatoes, instead of using butter and milk, when you mash potatoes, put broth instead. It actually tastes really good. It makes it look different, but it tastes really good. It has a great flavor, and it's dairy-free. So anyway, I usually, sometimes I will actually, I like to buy chicken breast. no bone, no skin chicken breast. Those are great. That's what we all eat to be healthy and all that, right? But sometimes, they get really good buys, really good deals on chicken thighs or chicken legs or drumsticks or stuff like that. And I get those because I want the bones. For me, it's all about the bones. And then I'll throw, like a package of thighs or a package of drumsticks in my crock pot. Let them cook down. They fall right off the bone. Save the skin, the bone, everything that is not meat. I put it in a bag, in a Ziploc bag in the freezer. And then when I get a good amount of, usually a gallon bag or two of bones, I will do bone broth. And I'll show you. I'm going to do a video on it because I can't wait. I just can't wait to show you. It's so good. And this is one of the things it's like a quart of broth. But I will tell you that I usually get 10 quarts of broth when I make the bone broth. Now, guys, if you think about it, when you buy a quart of broth in the store, stock or broth, whatever they call it, it's $2 to $5 depending on the brand that you get. Okay, so what I do from literally trash that you're going to throw away. The bones and the skin and all that other stuff. You normally throw it away. Instead of throwing it away, put it in a baggie in the freezer. And then when you get enough, do your bone broth. Well, I usually get 10 quarts when I do. 10 quarts, you pay, how much of a savings is that? $20 to $50 each time you make it. Well, say, multiply that times 3 months. Say you did it quarterly. Well, that's, can be up to $400 a year in savings in food that you can save. So, oh my God. And it's from what? From nothing. Literally nothing. Trash that you were going to throw away. And it's so much better than that stuff you buy in the store. I've used that stuff in the store. And there are some brands that are better than others, but usually it's almost clear. I mean, this stuff that I have is, it's got floaties in it, like pieces of meat and spices and little pieces of veggie, because I cook it with like carrot and celery. It's got little things in it. And all those little things are really good for you. And they taste good too. So anyway, who wouldn't want to save up to $400 a year? My goodness. Okay, so that was number one, bone broth, one of my favorites. The second one is another favorite of mine. Make your own laundry detergent. Now, there is a gajillion recipes for homemade laundry detergent online, but my sister actually gave me the one that I use. And laundry detergent, this is what I do. I kept an old gallon jug laundry detergent bottle, and I just make it in this bottle. Whenever I run low, I make it in that bottle. And it calls for, if you take a gallon bottle of that, you buy that in the store, depending on what brand you get. It's anywhere from $6 to $15. Okay, so I was figuring it out before I got on to do this video, and I use, it calls for 3 items for the kind that I use. Arm & Hammer washing soda, which is $8 for a box. 20 Mule Team Borax, which is $5, I think I have, a box. And then Dawn, which a bottle, it's got to be the old original blue Dawn that you use for my recipe. And that's anywhere between $5 and $10, depending on how big of a bottle you get and all that. But for that price right there, anywhere between $21 and $38, that will easily make you laundry detergent for a year. Easily. You only use a capful for all your laundry. And I will tell you that I have that small apartment size washer, but I use a capful anyway. I will tell you, I love the laundry detergent. It works fantastic. I do find, though, that my whites get dingy. So I bought those pod containers of the, what do they call that? The OxyClean white that make your whites whiter, just for my whites. Other than that, my laundry comes out fine. So $21 to $38 for a year's worth of laundry. You guys, how can you not do that one? That one is phenomenal. Okay, something else that I do. I only buy Ziploc freezer bags. Those are the only plastic bags that I buy. I don't buy the store brand one because I wash them out and reuse them. Now, if there's meat in them, I don't do that, especially raw meat. Sometimes I'll put raw meat in my freezer in a Ziploc bag, but I won't reuse those. But all the other ones, the ones I, put my squash in the freezer, or anything that I have, any kind of, only get the Ziploc because the store brand ones will rip open, or the seam will rip, or they're not rugged enough to be reused, but the Ziploc ones are. So I spend the extra bucks and I get Ziploc bags and I reuse them. So when I empty one out, I just put it in my sink for me to do, dishes. The next time I do dishes, I wash it out. And I make sure I get in there with my dishcloth and clean it all out. Sometimes I even, while I'm waiting to do a batch of dishes, I will squirt a little bit of Dawn in there and put some water in it and let it soak until I can do dishes again. But anyway, I wash them like that, and then I put them on. I have a basket on my countertop with wooden spoons in it and a rolling pin, and I just stick it on those to dry. Dries there for a day, and then I put them away. So that saves a lot of money as well. And then the fourth thing that I do to save money is I buy my clothes whenever I can at garage sales and thrift stores. Now, it's a little hard for me because I'm a tall person and I have to have pants in tall. And so I really never have had luck finding pants my size at a thrift store. There's tons of pants there, and if I wasn't tall, I could buy them at a thrift store because there's tons of them there. But in all honesty, I just can't find them. So I do have to buy my pants. But my tops, this one I have on. I got it for a couple bucks at a thrift store. So yeah, I buy my clothes, and that way when they rip, or if you don't like it anymore, you lose weight and it doesn't fit anymore, give it to the thrift store, donate it again. Number 5 is I garden. That's a huge one. Big, 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 huge, huge, huge. If you have any lawn at all, make it into a garden. You wouldn't believe the money that it can save you. I mean, I did one on dehydrating garlic. You wouldn't believe the garlic that I get out of my garden. I mean, for an investment of probably $14, I've had garlic from my friends, my family, me. I mean, I just dehydrated 50 cloves. I mean, my gosh, you guys, gardening. And I will say that the cloves of organic garlic that are at my farmer's market here in my town are $2. So just think about the savings there. You plant a clove and you get a head. So, you increase by 4 to 6 fold every year. So anyway, you guys, try the gardening thing. Tomatoes, oh my gosh. And if you plant a hill of zucchini, one hill of zucchini will get you, your neighbors, your friends, and your relatives zucchini for a year. I mean, it's unbelievable how prolific Mother Nature is. It's unbelievable. You'll know it when you start gardening. But anyway, I started to say tomatoes. I love to can tomatoes. I used to can them years ago. Now I freeze them. What I do is I have a batch of tomatoes that are ripening up. So what I do is I wash them all off. I put them in a roasting pan and roast them along with garlic and any other herbs like I might have growing in my garden. Kind of, make it flavorful. I haven't even done it with squash before. And then when it comes out of and they're all soft and squishy and they come out of the oven after baking them, take an immersion blender, blend them, put them in your blender and blend them up. And then I put the liquid in my Ziploc freezer bags, lay them flat, freeze them that way, and then they stack in your freezer. So then you've got tomatoes to make your own pizza sauce, your own spaghetti sauce, your own salsa. I mean, I've used my tomatoes for all of those things. So garden, you guys, you cannot imagine the money that it can save you. A lot of people around here, I live in Maine, as I've said many times, and a lot of people around here will have a garden in the summer, and they also buy beef or pigs or beef or pork or chicken raised. We have some farmers in the area, and they'll buy a half or a quarter of a cow, and wow, there you go, you've got your food for the winter. My goodness, it saves so much. Number 6 is kind of a different one. A lot of people can't do it. It's hunting. If you hunt, I don't personally hunt, but I have lots of my relatives do. I have friends that do. My son, actually, one son does, the other one doesn't. But anyway, I have had relatives that around here we have a lot of moose. Moose and deer hunting is big around here, and I have a brother-in-law that shot a moose a couple years ago, and he had moose meat. There's thousands, like either 1,000 or 2,000 pounds. The meat is just unbelievable. He had to buy 2 freezers to put the meat in it. So, and they gave me a lot of it. So, you never know what you're going to have. So, hunting is a big thing that can save you a lot of money. I mean, think about it. I've got nieces and nephews that have big families. They've got a lot of kids, 4 to 6 kids. And how are you going to feed those kids? Hunt. That's how you do it. You hunt. Come hunting season, that's what they do. And it saves a lot of money. Number 7, home cook your food. Home cook everything. If you can make your own bread, do that. I've got some great recipes for bread, loaves of bread. But my thing that I like to do is I have a bread machine, and I've gotten several of them over the years at yard sales for $5. I mean, buy a bread machine for $5 at a yard sale and make your own bread. You can make pretzels, bread, rolls, pizza crust. I mean, you can make all kinds of stuff with that bread machine. And like I said, I've bought several bread machines at yard sales. So, home cooked meals, not only are they better for you, not only do they taste better, but it's going to save you money, like a ton of money. Every now and then I'll go out and get a sandwich at one of our local sandwich shops, and it's like $10 for a sandwich just to go to Subway or to one of the sandwich shops here in town. Between $8 and $10 for a sandwich. I mean, my goodness, $8 and $10. If you do these things that I'm saying, $8 to $10 can go a long way. Okay, number 8. Instead of buying tissues, like facial tissues, that you blow your nose with, or napkins, paper napkins, get cloth napkins or handkerchiefs. I bought a set of 12 men's handkerchiefs a couple years ago. You buy a set of 12 or 13 of them for like $12, and they've lasted me for years. I keep one in my pocket every day, and I just wash them along with my whites, and they come out great. I don't go through tissues like I used to. And then for cloth napkins, you can either buy them. Sometimes I get them at yard sales and thrift stores, like I say, but geez, you can make them. I just got a new nightgown, my flannel nightgown just wore right out. I needed a new one, so I got some new flannel pajamas. And my sister gave me the idea, keep the old one and cut it up and use it for rags. You could use it for dust cloths, or you can make napkins out of it. That flannel, that would make a great napkin. And napkin making is straight sewing. You just sew a seam on all 4 sides. So that will save you tons. And if you have a family, assign 1 napkin to 1 family member a day, and then you're good to go. You don't have to use paper napkins. Okay, number 9 is a little different, and it's more for people that live in the South or in California or out in the hot parts of the country. But I actually used to live in New Mexico. I was born and raised in Maine, and I'm back in Maine now, but I lived in New Mexico for 9 years, and I loved it. But when I came back, it made me really conscious about how I use water. So this one is a tip on how to save on water. Now, and I will say I might not need to, I don't live in a desert now in Maine, I certainly don't, but I pay for my water. So if I could use, collect my water this way, I could use it to flush my toilet, I could use it to water my plants. Anyway, I knew somebody in New Mexico, a couple that used to, this is what they did to save money on water. All they did was take like one of those 5-gallon plastic buckets you get at like Home Depot or something. When you take a shower, put one of those buckets in your shower while you're showering. That's it. You just collect your shower water. So they didn't do anything any different. They just showered like they normally did. They just had a 5-gallon bucket in the shower to collect whatever water they could. And they used that water to, like I said, flush their toilet, water their inside plants, water their outside plants, because in New Mexico, you have to conserve water. So, that's a great idea. Even in Maine in the summertime, sometimes we have a few weeks without rain and our gardens are dry. So you could do that in your shower. You could take your hose off of your washing machine when it's draining and put that in a bucket and save that water and water your plants and water, And you can also have a bucket outside, a rainwater bucket where you catch rainwater. If you have eaves and the rain, when it rains, it comes down those eaves, and you can use that water to water your garden. Like I said, water your garden or flush your toilet, or you can use gray water, captured water. So anyway, my years in New Mexico taught me that, and I'm kind of glad. I think that's kind of a good little tip. So if like I said, I have to pay for my water now, so doing that would save me having to use water that I would pay for other things. And number 10, the last one, is very different. And I wish I'd known this tip years ago when I was in my 20s. I've always had cats my whole life. So instead of cat litter, I use newspaper. Now, it sounds weird. People think you cut it up and shred it and all that. I don't. I just lay it flat in the litter box. Actually, the lady that I got my cat from, she has like 5 cats, and she breeds them, and so that's what she does. She's done it for years. So my little kitty cat never had anything other than newspaper, so it was no big deal for her to go to newspaper. I would think if you have an older cat and she's used to litter, or she or he is used to litter, it would be hard to switch. But I don't know. I don't know that. But anyway, newspaper. I don't get the newspaper delivered to me, but my brother does. So I get newspapers from him a couple times a year. I'll call him up and say, hey, you got any newspapers I can have? He recycles his newspapers. He burns them in his wood stove. But they pile up because he can't burn all of those. So he gives me my newspapers for my kitty cat's litter. And all I do when it's dirty, I just roll it up. Roll up the her leavings. I roll that up in the newspaper and put it in my trash. Now, I will tell you, I have never had a problem with it stinking. Everybody says, doesn't it stink? Doesn't it stink? It does not. In my opinion, clay cat litter holds in the stink, and it stinks worse with clay cat. I always used to smell my cat litter when I used cat litter. And I never smell it now with a newspaper. It's amazing. You really don't smell it. Now, people who are conscious about that, you could take, the feces and flush it down your toilet if you wanted to do that. But I don't do that. And I just put it in my trash, rolled up in the newspaper that she uses. So what a great tip. What a savings. Not only is cat litter wicked expensive, but you go through a lot of it. And even with one cat, you go through a lot of it. And it's loaded with chemicals that aren't good for you to breathe in or your cat. And so, what you could save. And cat litter is expensive. Anywhere between $10 and $30 for a bag, depending on how big of a bag you buy. And so, geez, what a huge savings that would be. It is. It's a huge savings, and I don't even have to think about it. And the cooking thing. I forgot to show you this when I talk about the homemade cooking stuff. Look, this is what I do. This, if you can read it, that says spaghetti sauce on it. This is all I do. I make a big batch of spaghetti sauce, and I'm just one person. So I put them in containers like this. It's like 2 cups in this container. That's enough for probably a couple meals. And that's what I do. That's what I do, you guys. And it saves so much money. You can't imagine. Every time I go to the grocery store and I look at my receipt, not that long ago, I could look through the receipt and there would be things like $1, $2. Now, it's $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 for stuff. You can barely buy anything that's under $10 in the grocery store. And I don't know, you can use coupons, but to me, there aren't that many, and they have a short expiration, time you can use them. So sure, if you can, that's great, but it takes a lot of time, and I don't do that anymore. I used to do that years ago. Now I just save money wherever I can, not spending it at the grocery store. But anyway, there are tons and tons more of great money-saving ideas, guys. This is just the first of many videos I'm going to do on living frugally. I hope that you liked it, and I know that these tips can be helpful to so many people out there. If you're young and just starting out with a family, this is great. These tips are great. Even if you're old and retired and you're living on a limited income, these tips are fantastic. And I enjoy doing all this stuff. Like when I make my bone broth, you wouldn't believe how good it makes your house smell. Oh, it smells so good. And a lot of people will say, well, if I work full time and I can't do that. I've always done it. Whether I worked full time or not, I've always done these things. So, take your turkey carcass. You have Thanksgiving Day off. A lot of people have the day after Thanksgiving off. Have your turkey on Thanksgiving Day, and the next day, make bone broth. It's so good, you guys. All right, well, like I said, I hope this helps you guys. I know it's helped me for years. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. All right, everybody, have a great day and enjoy your frugal living as well. Bye-bye.